late.
Past that point a long time ago. 'Cause perpetuating lies and deception is the only thing that you seem to know.
That's all they know.
And you thought that you'd be safe in your tower.
No, they're not safe anymore.
Isolated from the people below.
Nope.
But the truth has undermined your foundation by so many people now in the know.
Everybody's figuring it out.
You thought that you'd see the day that you could just get away from the ones you betrayed who raised their voices to say,
Hey, media.
you won't be trusted anymore.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 18th of September, 2025. These are the WTF reports. I'm your host, DavevonKleist, and on this Thursday, we're going to open up the phone lines. Yep, the phone lines are open, 215-867-8255. I had somebody call me just as I was getting ready to go on the air, and I invite them to call in. Anyway, there's, as always, I'll tell you, there's no shortage of material. We could go on and on about it. But this broadcast, by the way, is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. Now, if you haven't checked it out, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is Tesla technology that's been refined by Royal Raymond Rife. It's a Rife machine that you wear on your wrist with thousands, over 1,000 frequencies for all kinds of issues. Now, I'm not here to say it's going to treat or cure anything, but it certainly has helped me on a bunch of different issues, and I've loaned it out to a couple of people. One person had some back issues, and when she wore it for a couple of days, she says, oh my gosh, I'm getting around a whole lot better. So, check it out. Check out the Wave Watch. Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and check out the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, once again, the phone lines are open, and just a quick reminder, this broadcast is live from 2:05 Eastern Time, and that's 11:05 Pacific Time. Do the math for the middle time zones. And so if you're listening during those times, it's live, and you can call in. And again, the phone number here is 215-867-8255. Okay, let me see. I got several different issues that I want to get to, but before I get started, I want to revisit an issue that that's very dear to my heart. And as you just heard, the intro music, and that's a song called You Won't Be Trusted Anymore. And that's off of my first album almost 30 years ago, dedicated to the lying mainstream legacy media. Yeah, I was screaming fake news a long time ago. And the more people watch, the more they understand how fake it really is. So there is something called the Smith-Mundt Act. It was enacted in 1948 to stop the American media, or to prevent them from propagandizing the American public, so that we're not allowed to propagandize in this country. But unfortunately, under the Obama administration, Obama signed the NDAA, I believe that was in 2013, and in the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, there was a clause in there that rescinded the Smith-Mundt Act. Yeah, they took it off the table. So that meant that the media could lie to you. Let that settle in. They could propagandize, they could manipulate, they could massage, they could spin, they could lie. And that's what we've been seeing. And this is why we've got so many problems in this country today, because, and you've heard it on this broadcast, I keep catching them. That's why I'm here with the audio receipts all the time. So anyway, there was a woman by the name of Ellie Mae, and she put together a petition to send to President Trump. And she made this little video, and she asked people, say, look, if you can tag Donald Trump, I want to make a plea to our president. And this is what she put out there. Give this a listen.
Sorry, guys, it's nighttime, but I figured I would let you know that I did, in fact, get a petition together. I am going to put the link in the comments, and once I figure out how to put it in my bio, I will put it there. I'm also going to be posting it on X, and let's try to get this to as many signatures as possible. We're already doing a good job with the video. It's performing pretty well on X, and I want to thank Nuke Taco for that one, and everybody else that had reposted, shared, and tagged me in it. I greatly appreciate it. with that being said, let's get into what the petition says. So I named the petition the Enact the Charlie Kirk Act to Restore Media Accountability. I watched a powerful and influential man die in a public setting surrounded by thousands of people who simply came to engage in a dialogue championing free speech, truth, and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. His life was taken, not from any wrongdoing of his own, but because of unfounded allegations perpetrated by mainstream media. These allegations lacked any substantial evidence, offering a stark reminder of the extent to which misinformation can endanger lives. We find ourselves calling for the re-implementation of the Smith-Mundt Act, a pivotal legislative piece that safeguarded the American public from the manipulation and dissemination of false information. However, in this new era, it should be revitalized and renamed as the Charlie Kirk Act. This amended act will hold media outlets, radio stations, educators, and content creators accountable for the false narratives and erroneous information they spread deliberately or irresponsibly. Moreover, we propose stringent penalties for social media companies that censor information unfairly. Each violation should be subject to a fine amounting to at least 35% of the company's value. Baseless accusations such as labeling individuals as bigots, fascists, or racists without verifiable proof tarnish reputations and endanger lives. Such acts should not be tolerated and must invite strict accountability measures. We stand at a crossroads where the essence of truth and the integrity of information are at stake. It is imperative to hold those who spread lies accountable, preventing the cycle of misinformation from harming more individuals. Now it's up to us to see if we can get this petition as big as the video is at this point. So I'm hoping you guys can help me out. Maybe a petition along with everybody that has been sharing and tagging so far might just be what we need. We do not need to stop with this movement. We need to go further. And the only way to do that is to be heard. So, if you're with me, if you agree, you can click the link in the comments. You can click it over on X because I'm going to be posting it over there as well. Let's try to get this, I want to say an easy goal. Since we had gotten 1 million views on the video, I'm thinking at least 1 million signatures. I know it's a big goal, but I think we can do it.
Yes, I think we can do it too. Thank you so much, Ellie Mae, for doing that. And I will see if we can't get the link to the petition posted on our website. When this program is over and we get everything all uploaded and all that, we'll see if we can include a link so you can sign the petition. Now, the last I checked, now again, she put this together this past weekend, and when I signed onto the petition, it was about 30,000 people. And then I checked later, and it was 60,000 people. And then I checked earlier today, there was 130,000 people. It's growing. And this has to have some success to it, folks. We cannot exist in a free country if the media is allowed to lie to you. This is why we've got the problems now. They've been putting out, they call people fascists and Nazis and racists and every name in the book. And this is why we've got these extreme lefties out there, because they have been guzzling 24/7, 365, the blue Kool-Aid being pumped down their gullet. And as they say, if you consume intellectual fecal matter, you're going to end up with stuff for brains. It's not hard to figure out. So please, join the effort here. Get onto that petition, sign it up, and see if we can't get the Smith-Mundt Act reinstated here. And not only that, I believe, as she pointed out there, if these networks have been actively involved in propagandizing the American people, and I think it's quite obvious they have been. I've been following this crap for 30 years. They should have the FCC pull their license. Simple as that. They have betrayed the trust of the American people. They're supposed to be the fourth estate. They're supposed to be the watchdogs of government, not the lapdogs of government. And that's exactly what has happened with the mainstream media. And this is exactly why so many people have abandoned them. And they've gone over to some of the alternative and more conservative networks. And you know what? Even the conservative networks are just as guilty. I mean, I hate to say it, I'm glad to see these new networks, Newsmax and One American News and News Nation, Lindell TV, One America's Voice. I mean, it's good to have more voices out there, but I see a lot of control because they're all basically mouthpieces for some other country. And I'll give you one guess as to what that other country is, but we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But I wanted to stick on this particular topic here. It's so important that people get involved, sign this petition, and see if we can't get control or put the reins on the media. And the powers that be, they can't stand this happening. As a matter of fact, Hillary Clinton came right out and said it. We've got to get control of this thing. Because, as it was said, people are starting to think for themselves, and they can't have that. Who was it? Well, I forget, one of the reporters on MSNBC, says, we'll tell the people what to think. Anyway, well, here's Hillary Control voicing her concern about the social media posts that are out there.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
Yeah, real harm to you. Real harm to you. They're going to lose total control. Well, guess what? You already have. And these colleges and universities for the past 10 years, of course, the curriculum and the teachers and the professors, so many of them are very, very left-leaning. And they have these, institutions of higher learning have turned into indoctrination centers, which is why we've got all these crazy people out there doing crazy stuff. Anyway, yeah, that's just the way it is. So it's real important that somehow, some way, and again, I've been screaming about this for 3 decades, somehow the media has got to be turned around. And to be honest, unless people get involved, I just don't see it happening. All right, let's see. It's just about 18 minutes past the hour. Once again, the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. If you want to call in, now's the time to do it. 215-867-8255. That's 215-867-8255. All right. In a semi-related issue, and I covered this yesterday, I'm going to do it again because bless this woman's heart. She stood for her principles. And as they say, no good deeds go unpunished. Yeah, unfortunately, she paid the price for voicing her opinion. And her name is Benny Ray Harmony. And she was on a TV station, WICS channel. It's an ABC affiliate, channel 20. Okay, we got a caller, so I tell you what, we'll put that on hold and go to the caller. Hello, caller. Okay, you got to listen to your phone. Turn your computer or your radio down or whatever. Okay, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Listen to the phone. Don't listen to your computer. Turn the sound on your computer down.
I'm not. I don't have my computer on.
Oh, okay. I heard some feedback there, but it's gone now. Well, hello, caller.
Yeah.
Who are you and where are you calling from?
This is Cynthia.
Oh, Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi. And I want to mention that what we really need is for the government not to be able to use their clout and our money to use the media to propagandize us. That is, and see, one of the issues is that the way that act reads, the way her petition reads, is people that criticize Israel might be nailed under that.
Well, yeah.
So you don't that you want the freedom of speech to continue. Be very careful. We don't try to limit that freedom of speech. So there's a big difference between standing at the sign, at the entrance to the theater saying, don't smoke there, you might start a fire, and someone who stands inside and starts screaming fire, 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 just so people stampede and get hurt. Right. There's a big difference. You have to really weigh the issues there. Think of the Alien and Sedition Acts. Mm-hmm. So I want to mention that are we having to apply to the federal government to have a license to use a station, a local radio station that only gets a certain limited geographical area?
Well,
and if so, why are we doing that?
Well,
why isn't it funny?
Well, 20, 30 years ago, there were a lot of people that were putting up pirate stations. And they would have a satellite dish in their backyard, and they would pull down one of the networks, like whether it be GCN or, the Eagle Network or whatever network that was broadcasting alternative information. And then they would throw that signal into a mini transmitter, a little FM transmitter, so that people could tune it in on their radio. So, and I checked into the FCC rules, because they were saying that you have to have a license. However, the way I read it, and I could pull it up, according to FCC regulations, during time of national emergency, no license is required. Now, that's interesting, because we've been in a state of national emergency, as far as I remember, going all the way back to 1933. Every 2 years, a president declares a national emergency, and the national emergency is in place for 2 years, and then it expires. But every president, every 2 years since 1933, has declared a national emergency for this or that. You know, we have a war against drugs, or a war against poverty, or it's a national emergency. And so that's the way it's been running for the past, 60, 70 years or whatever. But according to FCC rules, the way I understand it, if we are in a state of national emergency, you do not need a license. So does that answer your question?
Well, actually, not quite. I'm wondering why it isn't a local issue rather than a federal issue.
Well, because you got the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and they are in the position to protect airwaves. I mean, let's say that there's a legitimate radio station in your community, and let's say they're broadcasting, Sean Hannity or something like that, and then somebody with a little micro station decides to come on the same broadcast frequency, like FM 106 or whatever, and then they start broadcasting on the same frequency, that would create problems. So that's why they have those controls in place. But that's also why the micro broadcasters would broadcast on the FM band below 92 megahertz, I think it is. So those are the public areas. You know, the NPR and the PBS and, the local college station is usually down in the lower end of the FM scale. So anyway, that's...
This is like this federal overreach to reach down into your county and tell you who can broadcast and who cannot.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a local issue.
Well, I suppose that's open for debate. It depends, I suppose, the range of these micro stations. Most of them don't get out for any more than like 5 miles, or maybe even 10 miles. But, they're very, very low power FM signals that are transmitted.
So most counties in the United States have never written their own constitution, but they can, and they can use that to limit the power of their state government over them and the federal government by putting it into your own constitution that is voted on by the citizens of that county. And people will say, well, you're just one county, you'll never prevail. You will if enough counties step up to the plate and say, we like that idea, and we're going to do that.
Well, that could be a big can of worms, because every state has a state constitution, and every state has counties. So, I mean, if you end up with all the different counties all coming up with different constitutions or rules, I think it would create real havoc. I don't know. I mean, that's open for debate.
Well, your constitution for your county still has to be consistent with the U.S. Constitution.
Right, the county charter, the charter or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that we need to stop them from trying to shut down our businesses again, and making these rules that you can't use certain things on your land as long as it's your land and it's not going to get on anybody else's land.
Mm-hmm.
Like with plants, the fact that they refuse to let people grow hemp, which is used for clothing. It's used for material.
Oh, yeah.
Used for food, hemp seed.
Well, hemp, that's a broadcast on its own. Hemp is a miracle plant. That can be used, like you said, for clothing, for fuel. I mean, Henry Ford's first car was built out of hemp, and it also ran on hemp fuel. So that's one of the reasons why that manufacturing has lobbied so hard to keep hemp and cannabis illegal all these years. And
that's why your county needs to step up to the plate. there's something I would really like to see some counties do is do a Medical Freedom Act there and start up for the community that they're going to be a go-to place for people who want to do natural healing from health problems and even in cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Because in California, they had a state law, which I'm not sure if it's still in the books, but in the 1960s, they passed a state law that if a physician advocated nutritional treatment for cancer, they would lose their license.
Yeah. And then there's Rick Simpson's hemp oil. His what does he call it? Something oil. I forget what it is. But Rick Simpson has been using cannabis to make this oil for helping cancer treatment. So, anyway, yeah, we could go on and on about that particular topic, and I definitely appreciate your bellying up to the bar here in regard to this petition that this Ellie Mae has put together. Hopefully, you can get online and sign on to the petition. What do you think?
Well, I'm thinking I'm going to finally get together that petition to get to you to go on your site. I think it was related to getting out of the UN.
Oh, yeah.
Out of all of these treaties that actually impair our sovereignty, and they could use those treaties to invade us.
Yes, they can, and I was screaming about that 30 years ago. As a matter of fact, the first patriotic song that I wrote was the Ballad of Michael New, and that was a young serviceman who refused to wear the UN blue and with the UN patch because he didn't sign an allegiance to the UN Charter. He said, I sign my allegiances to the United States Constitution, and according to the UCMJ, I will be out of uniform, and I will be betraying my oath to the Constitution if I wear a UN uniform. And for his efforts, he was court-martialed. Amazing. Anyway.
One last idea is that our own James Fetzer has stated that he does not believe Donald J. Trump is alive and hasn't been since a helicopter crash in 1989.
Yes, I've seen that, yeah.
If we have an imposter in the White House and they send us to war, like bombing Iran, then we could be accused of aiding and abetting genocide by Israel, all because of an imposter in the White House.
Well, that's entirely possible. The jury's still out in my mind. I mean, it's absolutely possible. We know that they've got crisis actors and they've got body doubles, doppelgangers. They've got amazing technology for masking. So I have no doubt that there are doubles there of some of our elected officials. I mean, look at what was going on with Joe Biden. Everybody was looking and say, wait a second, that doesn't even look like the original Joe Biden of 10 years ago. So it's entirely possible, but I don't know. I can't commit one way or the other that that's a fact. It's an interesting possibility.
Following orders from the White House, if that's not the real deal, and we're really pretty sure it's not the real deal.
Well, I don't think they're taking orders from the White House. The White House is taking orders from Israel. That's the way I see it anyway. So.
Well, we don't want to be invaded because of that.
Yeah, right. All right, Cynthia, thank you so much for your participation. You have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you.
You take care. Bye-bye. All right, 215-867-8255 is the phone number here. And like I said, the lines are open. Now, I wanted to go back and revisit what happened to this woman. Her name is Benny Ray Harmony, and she was on a WICS. It's a ABC affiliate, Channel 20. And here is her story. This is she stood up for her principles. And God bless her for doing so. This is what happened last Friday after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. She had her own little morning show, and she came on and did a tribute for Charlie Kirk, and here it is.
Much for tuning into Marketplace today. So I want to talk about something for a minute, and it is heavy, so please bear with me. I want you to know that it's okay if you feel sadness. It's okay if you
hang on, caller.
If you're grieving. 2 days ago, I lost a mentor, my first boss, the first person who made me believe in myself, that encouraged me to chase this dream that you're watching right now. Charlie Kirk. There's a lot going on in our world right now, in our country, but I want to say one thing. Lean on your neighbors. Speak up for what you believe in. I don't care what it is. I want to share with you One of my favorite sayings that Charlie would always tell us at the office. He would yell it from the mountaintops, so please listen. When conversations stop happening, when individuals become wordless, that's when violence begins. So, if you do one thing today, make it be with passion, with conviction. Stand up for your friends, stand up for your beliefs, and speak loudly, even if your voice shakes. Your words have meaning. Your values have purpose. Never forget that. Thank you, CK. You changed my life.
That's heartbreaking.
Much for tuning in to.
Okay, excuse me. Yes, so this lovely tribute that she put on basically got her called into the office. She was reprimanded, and she was suspended. They said that she was putting out some sort of political message there. It was a tribute to a man who had been gunned down for speaking his mind. Well, God bless this woman for standing on her own convictions, and sometimes it's not easy to do. When you're asked to do something by your employer and you disagree, and you, in doing so, the employer sort of exposes themselves. And then you realize, how can I possibly work for someone like that? And I happen to know someone personally who has gone through that exact situation. Anyway, the response, and hold on there, caller. I'll get to you in a couple seconds. I wanted to share this. Matt Getz decided to reach out to Ms. Harmony and have her on as a guest. I'm going to play a portion of the interview. Here it is.
Benny Ray Harmony once interned in my congressional office. She's worked for Jack Posobiec in media and at Turning Point USA. She joins us now. Benny, it's good to see you. Your tribute was beautiful and appropriate and appreciated. What happened when you posted it on social media?
Well, Matt, it was not the response that I thought I would get for sure. As you can see, I'm sure you've watched the video, it was not political whatsoever. It was honoring a mentor that we both knew, you and I, and you actually were the person that encouraged me to go work for Turning Point in 2021 again after I left your office. And it's just tragic that something as horrible that happened that we all watched. A tribute can't even be done without being punished for it.
It was a human reaction. Were you told that it violated any type of policy of the network?
No, Matt, they did not tell me why. All they told me was if I did not take it down, I would be punished. And I wasn't going to stick around and wait for that.
Did they indicate what that punishment would be?
No.
Wow.
We are currently, the WICS station that I was at just got bought by a new company, Rincon Broadcasting Group. And it's safe to say it's pretty disorganized, and nobody really knows what's going on in their own house. And I think that that's where a lot of the issues in the leadership stem from.
How did others in your newsroom and in your news organization react to your resignation?
Well, Matt, I was not expecting to be the first one to do it, but from hearing from my friends and the other people around me, they share a lot of the same opinions, but I was just the one to speak up. There's a lot more opinions and conservative voices, especially right here in Lincoln's home in Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah, and again, to your point that you've made rather convincingly, this wasn't even about politics. You would have said this about anyone that you'd worked with, even in a job that didn't have anything to do with politics. And I guess I'm trying to understand what about modern newsrooms are so reticent to just allow people to have a human reaction, you think?
Okay, I'm going to pause that right there. And she just pointed out a very important point. And that is, lots of other people in the newsroom felt the same as she did, but they're afraid to speak up. And how WICS reacted is exactly why people are afraid to speak up, because, as they say, no good deeds go unpunished. Anyway, okay, we got a caller on hold. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate that, but I wanted to get that audio clip in there. So who do we have on the line, and where are you calling from?
Okay, this is Melissa in Maryland. It's a signal last. Hi there. I have a few questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's do the easy one first. Hawaii. Tell me how to spell Hawaii.
Hawaii?
Yes.
Well, let me see. I guess it would be HAW. Let me see. I got to write it out here. HAWAII. Yeah. HAWAII.
Isn't there an apostrophe between the two I's?
I don't know. Could be.
Oh, okay, because I wondered if you knew, what Hawaii was, and, if Hawaii is, short for a longer word because there's an apostrophe in it.
No, I couldn't answer that, but I know it was a kingdom, and the queen, I believe her name was Liliuokalani, and then I believe that they were basically gobbled up by the United States in 1959 and turned into a state. And from what I understand, it was done without the blessings or permission of the indigenous Hawaiian people. So that's a whole can of worms to open a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
so.
It's just that usually when there's an apostrophe in the word, it means that it's a longer word, kind of like the word trash used to have an apostrophe in it, but it no longer does. So I was just trying to figure out what the longer spelling of Hawaii was. I could have just put that on the internet and left you out of it, but it's a worthy discussion piece because I really get concerned that a lot of our society's decisions are based upon Google information. But let me move on.
Okay.
Okay. Issue number 2 is photo IDs. Do you have a photo ID, or do you try to get along without one?
Well, I think we've all got photo IDs at this point. I mean, you have to have a driver's license, and the driver's license has a photo, so that would be a photo ID, yeah.
Okay. Well, the reason I just wonder, I guess point blank how miserable your life would be without a photo ID, because my issue is, and it's worthy of discussion, it's going to be different in every state, but the issue is that you have to, I guess it depends upon whether your state is an open record state or not, but you have to present a lot of information to the DMV to get your photo ID, okay? And it's unfortunate that at least in some states the DMV has a monopoly on photo IDs. You can't even go anywhere else to get one. But the issue is that you have to present them with a lot of documents to basically prove who you are. And then, so once they've got this document pile on you, then plus they take your picture and they've got your picture on top of that. So they've got a picture plus a document pile. And it's not reassuring to know that that's only accessible on a need-to-know basis. So I have an issue with the DMV having that information on all of the state's residents just in one place, and it's not okay that it's only accessible, by certain people or if you have to have it. That's not reassuring. So
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. But unfortunately, it's just something we can't get around because the entire system has evolved into one that requires that we prove who we are. But the sad thing is that the DMV is issuing driver's license to all these illegal immigrants that are coming in. I mean, this is crazy. They make the regular citizens, people who have lived in this country, born in this country, been here all our lives, we got to jump through hoops and go through all this crap. And meanwhile, the illegal immigrants are handing them out like freaking jujubes. I mean, craziness.
Yeah, but I mean, I just wondered, if you could get along comfortably without a photo ID, and you're telling me you can't.
Well, I mean, as long as you don't drive a car, or if you do, you don't get pulled over. I mean, I suppose you could. Because there's plenty of situations where you're not, you don't have to show a photo ID, but a lot of places you do. I mean, if you want to go in, in some states now they require, no matter how old you are, you've got to show ID if you want to purchase cigarettes or any nicotine products. I mean, gosh, I'm in my 70s, they asked me for the ID. I said, oh, look I'm certainly old enough, Same thing with buying any alcohol beverages. So, I mean, if you don't want to drink or smoke or go into a bar, I mean, a lot of times they have to card you, make sure you're of age if you want to go in and have a drink at a local tavern or something, you know. So,
well, I guess I just, I have to wonder how much our society is built around the criminal justice system because, it's kind of like it's that way with Social Security numbers, with tax information. It's that way with photo IDs at the DMV. It's one thing if you had to have a photo ID and it just had your name on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the photo ID, unfortunately, has your name and address on it.
Well, nothing you could do about that. Yeah.
And, it's like it seems to me that it's built around aiding and abetting the criminal justice system.
Well, isn't that special? Yeah. So, anyway, before you go, let me ask you a quick question. Do you believe the official story about the Charlie Kirk's assassination?
I have my doubts because I think you can handle what I'm going to say. It has always been the case with assassin, and I don't even know whether there's a separate criminal charge for assassination or not. I don't know whether assassination is just a dictionary term or it's a criminal charge, but anyway. I doubt that there may not have been a lone shooter. There may have been a few shooters. I don't know that they have the right guy. I will just go ahead and express that a lot of 22-year-olds are staring at their cell phones for a good deal of the day. And I do wonder whether a 22-year-old could pull something like that off. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I also wonder, depending upon, I don't know what views, VIEWS, are available. But yes, I mean, it's kind of like John Hinckley's bullet never reached Ronald Reagan. And I believe the real shooter was across the street on top of a building.
Okay, well, we're getting sidetracked. I asked you a yes/no question. Do you believe the official story of the Charlie Kirk's assassination?
How about not yet?
Okay, very good. All right. Well, thank you so much for your call and participation. As always, the phone lines are open to you. You take care.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. All right. Okay. Let me see. Where was I before we? Oh, yeah. We were talking about the young woman who resigned at WICS because she was sticking to her principles. She was being basically persecuted and suspended for simply expressing her grief because of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, unacceptable. But you know what? Charlie had made a statement that is very chilling. I don't know if you've heard this or not. I was surprised when I heard it. I'm not surprised that he said it, but it's basically, he could see the writing on the wall. Listen to what Charlie Kirk said.
My fear, Senator, and I hope I'm wrong, and let's stay in prayer that I'm wrong, that someone is going to get shot the same way that Steve Scalise got shot, and God forbid, killed. The left is creating a pressure cooker with so many of their rank-and-file paramilitary troops that very well might result in one of us getting shot or killed. God forbid that happens. We're getting death threats every single day here on the Charlie Kirk Show. My fear, Senator.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. I hate to say it, but this sounds just like what John Lennon said. John Lennon was in an interview on WRKO the day he was assassinated, December 8th, 1980. And in that interview, he pointed out that men of peace, for some reason, are killed violently. And he cited, Mahatma Gandhi. He cited Malcolm X, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy. And he pointed out, he says, all these men who were preaching peace, they all died violently. What's that say for me? And what do you know, folks? Later on that day, John Lennon was assassinated. Well, here we have Charlie Kirk saying basically the same thing. And what do you know? He was assassinated. It's sad. It really is. There are a lot of people who are questioning the official story, and that's why I asked the last caller. There's so many different theories right now about who or how did Charlie get shot? Was it this lone gunman? Or was it some other person that has yet to be identified? And there are so many questions and so many theories. Right now, my focus is on the official narrative. Now, we can go and speculate and theorize all we want. Is it this shooter, or was it this guy that took the shot? Or did the shot come from the left? Did it come from the right? Is that an entry wound? Is it an exit wound? What happened to the cameras? We can go all around and round and round about all that stuff, and well, we should, and we will. But in order for us to be able to have the general population consider these alternative theories, we have to prove the official narrative as being the BS that it is. Now, there's too many coincidences. Now, people are reporting that there was a book that was released on Amazon on September 9th. Now, Charlie was assassinated on the 10th. Now, this book was released and it was on Amazon on the 9th, and it was entitled, Who Killed Charlie Kirk? And there are also direct messages that were floating around, not just a day, but in some cases a week before Charlie was assassinated, indicating that there was something that was going to happen on September 10th. Here's Clayton Morris talking about a few of those issues.
Some of the messages are downright chilling when you read them. Like this one, it'd be funny if someone like Charlie Kirk got shot on September 11th, LMAO. This person wrote this on September 3rd.
Wow.
September 10th will be a very interesting day, another person wrote on August 6th, replying to the message with I plead the 5th after the murder happened.
That's bizarre.
So the September 10th will be a very, very interesting day on August 6th. And then after it happened, I plead the 5th. Okay. Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow, writes another person. I really hope someone evaporates him, literally. That was a day before the shooting. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. This guy, 5 days ahead of time, said something big is coming, and then right after the post said, well, that's that, and linked back to his original post. Something big is coming. Another user wrote this, who'd wished death to Charlie Kirk, predicted that something big will happen when he sets foot on campus. And this person identified as non-binary on X.
Wow. Now, tell me, how does that happen? How is it that so many people can be posting stuff like this, and then it happens just as they're talking about it, and even naming the place and the time? And how is it that Bibi Netanyahu was the first one to post that Charlie Kirk had passed? I mean, this is before it was publicly known. He was shot, but before anybody else posted, Bibi Netanyahu posted out there, oh, it's such a terrible tragedy. Oh, blah, blah, blah. How is it that he knew? Now, a lot of people are saying, a lot of people are pointing the accusatory finger towards the Israeli government. And I understand exactly why they're doing that. But you know what's really interesting? The wheat and the chaff are being separated right now. And a lot of people who I thought previously were pro-America and America first, et cetera, and now some of these broadcasters and media influencers are all jumping on board and saying, yeah, no, Israel did not do it. Israel had nothing to do with it. Israel, no. And they're condemning people for even thinking about that, despite the fact that we have to ask the question, who benefits? And what was going on with Charlie's? What was going through Charlie's mind in the months that preceded his assassination? And I played those clips on this show, and I'll probably play them again. Charlie had come to realize that support for Israel was supporting genocide. Oh, and by the way, that's another big thing that's happened this past week, is all the international organizations and even the mainstream news in England and the BBC and Sky, they're finally releasing the chains and shackles on the word. What's the word? Genocide. Up to this point, you weren't allowed to even say that word. No, Israel would never do that. That's terrible. You can't even say that. Well, now they finally come out and said, well, yeah, I guess they're committing genocide, yeah. And it's almost 2 years. In another, 3 weeks. It'll be 2 years since October 7th. 2 years, folks. And now as we speak, They are, quote unquote, finishing the job. Now that they got all the journalists out of there, there's nothing coming out of Israel right now. 60,000 troops and tanks going in there to do whatever it is that they're doing to finish the job. And meanwhile, they're already making plans for reconstruction and selling off plots of property so that they can go in there and redevelop Palestine. It's a crazy world we're living in right now. But you can't criticize Israel. No. Charlie knew that. Matter of fact, here it is.
No, you're not allowed to.
That's proof right there.
Charlie Kirk was starting to talk about the level of pressure he felt with regard to Israel, and that he felt more free to criticize his own government than to criticize this foreign government.
I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government without backlash than actual Israelis do. And that's really, really weird.
An easy way to know if you are controlled. Is there somebody or something that you're not allowed to criticize?
That's right.
Simple as that. If you lived in Nazi Germany, you couldn't criticize the Nazi Party. If you lived in the Soviet Union, you couldn't criticize the Communist Party of Russia. If you live in China right now, you can't criticize the Chinese Communist Party. If you live in North Korea, you can't criticize Kim Jong-un. If you live in Cuba, you can't criticize the Cuban Communist Party. If you live in America, who can't you criticize? Who can't you criticize in America?
The Jewish lobby?
Yes.
On both sides. Right.
That's right. That tells you who controls the country. You're not. The fact that we're having this discussion and we're on the edge, all right? Everybody knows here, this is the edge.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we on the edge? Because we're touching the third rail. We're breaking the taboo. You're not allowed to discuss the power of the Israeli lobby in America.
Dave Smith is allowed to criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was overrepresented.
No, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to, though. No, you're not allowed to.
That's proof right there. They control America. That's who's controlling free speech in this country.
Exactly. They keep on saying, if you want to know who's in control, take notice of who you're not allowed to criticize. And Tucker Carlson was talking about this relationship that Charlie had with Bibi Netanyahu. Here's what he had to say. And there we go.
They no longer support Israel. Everybody under 30 is against Israel. Charlie was 31. And so as a friend, he's saying to them, and same way I, as a friend, am saying, I am telling you, you've lost Dems, independents, and you're starting to lose Republicans.
I was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country. Immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue. Charlie did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it.
Yeah, so people understand that. And like I said, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Candace is taking it real rough right now. Everybody's going against her because she is unrelenting and taking a look, an examination towards Israel. Who benefits? And of course, not like I said, the wheat and the chaff are being separated right now. So a lot of these influencers who we thought were America first are now backing down on that, and they're saying, hey, you can't go after Israel. Israel didn't do it. It was not the Mossad. Oh, you're all crazy. Don't you even think about that. 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 No, they don't want you to think about that. But in the meantime, what's happening? Well, let's see. What happened over the past month when Congress was in recess? What did they do? They grabbed a whole bunch of Republican members of Congress and flew them over to Israel and wined them and dined them and took them on tours, and they planted trees and did all this other stuff. And then after the Republican contingency left, they brought over a whole bunch of Democrats. And then they wined them and dined them and took them on tours, and they went and planted trees. I want to know what else happened there. Why is it that all of these members of Congress and everything, why are they going to Israel? They were supposed to stay home and represent their constituency. But no, they got to go over there and schmooze with Netanyahu and his cabinet. And I can't help but think, hey, was there something that maybe they put in the water or in the food? Is there something that maybe, made their brains go click? And then they were told, you will always support Israel. I will always support Israel. You will support Israel. I will support Israel. You think that's something that went on? Not outside the realm of possibilities, folks. Yeah, that's a conspiracy theory for you. But you know what? I can't help it. You got to look at what happens. It's deeds, not words. What do you suppose happened this past Monday that was not reported in the news? No, it was not reported in the news. Listen to this and get used to the phrase 50 states, one Israel.
We have just witnessed the largest delegation ever of U.S. lawmakers visiting Israel, and I almost guarantee you have not heard about it. 250 state legislators representing all 50 states arrived in Israel on Monday, and they attended an event at the Foreign Ministry titled 50 States, One Israel. On Tuesday, the lawmakers then took part in a ceremony where they planted 50 trees, one for each state, at one of the locations of the October 7th attacks. Netanyahu's office described it as the largest ever bipartisan delegation of American lawmakers to ever visit the Jewish state. Israel's Foreign Minister, Gideon Sa'ar, urged the lawmakers in attendance to pass anti-BDS laws in their states.
I'm going to pause it right now. Did you hear about this? Did anybody hear about this? What did he say? 350 members of Congress sent over there to party hardy with Bibi Netanyahu.
BDS stands for Boycott, Divestment, and Sanction, and it is a movement started in 2005 by Palestinian activists. Anti-BDS laws are designed to make it difficult or discourage boycotts of Israel, and to date, 38 U.S. states have adopted these laws, resolutions, or executive orders. Gideon Sa'ar said, "We are witnessing a coordinated global effort against Israel today, claiming that their enemies have turned to propaganda, political, legal, and economic warfare." He then said to the crowd of U.S. lawmakers, the best answer against BDS until this day has been anti-BDS legislation by your states. But the timing of this trip couldn't be more controversial, not only because the day after they arrived, the United Nations Commission of Inquiry officially ruled for the first time that Israel are committing genocide against Palestinians in Gaza, but also because on the exact same day, Israel's highly condemned ground invasion into Gaza City officially began. And the reason I said I almost guarantee you haven't heard about this is because, to my genuine surprise, literally no major media publication is covering this apart from local news in Israel. And I mean, regardless of where you stand, is the largest delegation of US lawmakers to ever visit Israel not newsworthy?
Of course it's newsworthy. Of course it is. But if you're not hearing about it, I guess it didn't happen. So is this the United States of Israel? And if it is, how do you feel about that? Seriously, have we lost this country? And again, I can't help but refer to all of those lawmakers who were approached by, I forget the reporter's name, but he went up, he said, is it America first or Israel first? And the lawmaker turns and runs away. Well, I know we got a caller that is calling in, but I'm sorry to say it's about this time. Yeah, we're flat out of time, caller. I'm sorry. You should have called in a little bit earlier. We only got 1 minute here. So thanks for the call. Maybe better luck next time. I got to let you go. Sorry. All right, that said, folks, I certainly appreciate your listenership. And if you're listening on BitChute or YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, please click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, word of mouth. Tell folks out there, man, there's this broadcast that you got to hear. Share it with everybody, okay? Okay. All right, that said, that's going to wrap it up for today's Thursday edition of the WTF Reports. Again, I appreciate your listenership. So, until tomorrow, God bless. Stay safe. Stay free. And yes, I will see you tomorrow.